I moved into Maple Grove Estates on a bright Tuesday morning in March, thrilled to finally have a home with a proper backyard. As a personal trainer and fitness influencer, having outdoor space for my morning workout videos was a dream come true. The house was perfect, a charming colonial with a privacy fence that I assumed would give me all the seclusion I needed for my daily exercise routine. That assumption lasted exactly 5 days. I was in the middle of filming a yoga flow session, wearing perfectly appropriate athletic wear, a tank top and leggings, when I noticed her. Karen Pemberton, the HOA president, standing at her second-story window with binoculars. Actually standing there with binoculars pointed directly at my backyard. When I waved awkwardly, she didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed. She just lowered the binoculars and disappeared from view. The next morning, an official HOA violation notice appeared in my mailbox. Before we dive deeper into this absolute nightmare, if you're enjoying this story of suburban warfare, please hit that like button and subscribe to Karen Eat World. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this one ends. Now, back to the madness. The violation notice was typed on official HOA letterhead, citing Section 7.3 of the Community Guidelines, which stated that no homeowner shall engage in activities visible from neighboring properties that could be considered a public nuisance or disturbance. My crime? Morning exercise in my own fenced backyard. The fine was $50, with escalating penalties for repeated violations. I decided to handle this reasonably. I walked over to Karen's house that afternoon, violation notice in hand, ready to have a neighborly conversation. She answered the door in a velour tracksuit, her expression already pinched with disapproval before I even spoke. "Hi, I'm from 3 houses down. I received this notice about exercising in my backyard, and I think there might be some misunderstanding," I said, keeping my tone friendly. "My yard is fenced, and I'm just doing normal workouts. I'm not sure how this qualifies as a nuisance." Karen crossed her arms, her face reddening. "The fence is only 6 feet tall. Anyone in a 2-story home can see directly into your yard. I have a perfect view from my craft room window, and I shouldn't have to see that every morning." "See what, exactly? Me doing yoga? Push-ups?" "It's inappropriate," she snapped. "You're out there in practically nothing, putting yourself on display. This is a family neighborhood, and some of us don't appreciate that kind of behavior." I looked down at my current outfit, a modest sundress. I wear normal workout clothes. The same thing people wear to any gym or park. Well, this isn't a gym or a park. This is a residential community with standards. If you want to exercise, do it inside your house like a normal person, or join a gym. She started to close the door. "The fine stands. And if I see you out there again, it'll double." I stood on her porch for a moment, stunned. But I'm not someone who backs down easily, and I certainly wasn't about to stop using my own backyard because of one busybody neighbor's issues. What Karen didn't know was that before becoming a fitness trainer, I'd spent 6 years as a real estate attorney, and my best friend from law school now specialized in property and zoning law. The next morning, I was back in my yard at 6 a.m., doing my usual routine. By noon, another violation notice arrived, this time for $100. The day after that, another notice, citing multiple violations and threatening legal action. Karen had apparently decided to make this her personal crusade. I paid the fines without complaint, documented everything, and started making phone calls. My first call was to Rebecca Chen, my lawyer friend. "Becca, I need you to look at some HOA bylaws for me. And I need the name of the best property surveyor you know." My second call was to my former colleague Marcus, who now worked in commercial real estate development. "Remember how you said if I ever wanted to invest in property, you'd help me find the right opportunities? I'm interested. Specifically, I'm looking for vacant lots or tear-down properties in my neighborhood." My third call was to Tom, my trainer friend who owned 3 successful gym franchises across the state. "How would you feel about a very unusual location for a new facility? I think I've found the perfect spot." Over the next 2 weeks, I continued my backyard workouts while Karen continued her harassment campaign. She filed 9 more violation notices. She called the police twice to report a disturbance, which resulted in very confused officers showing up to find me doing Pilates at 7 in the morning. She even went door to door to other neighbors, trying to rally support for her cause, though most people seemed more uncomfortable with her behavior than mine. But I didn't argue. I didn't fight back. I just paid every fine, smiled politely when I saw her, and waited. The property records for Maple Grove Estates revealed something interesting. The neighborhood was built in 2 phases, 15 years apart. Most of the lots were standard quarter-acre parcels, but there were 3 unusual lots at the edge of the development, originally intended for a small community park that never materialized. These lots were zoned differently, classified as mixed-use rather than purely residential. And one of these lots was directly adjacent to Karen's property, separated only by the development's decorative brick wall. That lot had been sitting vacant for 8 years, owned by a development company that had gone bankrupt. It was about to go to auction for unpaid property taxes. Marcus helped me acquire it for an absurdly low price. The surveyor confirmed what I'd suspected: the lot had direct access to the main road and was technically not part of the HOA, despite being surrounded by the neighborhood. Even better, the mixed-use zoning meant it could be developed for commercial purposes with the right permits. While I worked behind the scenes, Karen escalated further. She began following me when I left the house, taking photos of my car parked at the gym where I worked. She filed complaints with the city about my supposed home business, claiming I was running illegal training sessions out of my house, which was completely false. She even sent a certified letter demanding I attend a special HOA meeting to address my flagrant disregard for community standards. I attended that meeting. 15 neighbors showed up, most looking confused about why they were there. Karen stood at the front of her living room, a PowerPoint presentation queued up on her television, ready to detail my crimes against the community. She had photos. Dozens of them, clearly taken with a zoom lens from her second-story window. Me doing squats. Me in a yoga pose. Me stretching. She'd even circled my figure in red marker on some prints, as if my presence in my own yard required special highlighting for the audience to notice. As you can see, Karen announced, clicking through her disturbing slideshow, this behavior is completely inappropriate for our neighborhood. She insists on flaunting herself every single morning, and it needs to stop. Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down raised her hand timidly. Karen, I'm sorry, but I don't really see the problem. She's just exercising. In full view of everyone, Karen shot back. In her own yard, Mr. Patel added. With a fence. I have to actively look over my fence to see into anyone's backyard. Karen's face turned crimson. Well, I have a 2-story home. I shouldn't have to close my blinds in my own craft room because she wants to put on a show. Maybe just don't watch, someone suggested from the back. The meeting dissolved into awkward murmurs, with most neighbors clearly on my side but too conflict-averse to directly challenge Karen. She called for a formal vote to ban outdoor exercise in backyards. It failed, 8-7. She was furious. As everyone filed out, I approached Karen with a smile. Thank you for bringing everyone together. I actually have some exciting news to share with the neighborhood soon. I think you'll be particularly interested. She narrowed her eyes at me suspiciously but said nothing. 3 weeks later, the construction permits were approved. The lot next to Karen's property, my lot, was about to become something special. Tom and I had spent hours planning the perfect facility. It would be a boutique outdoor fitness studio, taking full advantage of the lot's unique features. The design included an outdoor workout pavilion with a stunning view, positioned specifically to face the main road for maximum visibility and appeal to potential clients driving by. It also happened to be positioned exactly 15 feet from Karen's property line, which was perfectly legal, and elevated on a platform that would be at the exact height of her second-story craft room window. The pavilion would host group fitness classes throughout the day. Yoga at sunrise. High-intensity interval training at noon. Dance cardio in the evening. All completely visible from Karen's window, unless she wanted to keep her blinds closed permanently. But that wasn't even the best part. During the surveying process, we discovered that the decorative brick wall separating the properties was actually built 2 feet onto my newly acquired lot, which meant the HOA had been technically trespassing for 8 years. I had every right to demand its removal. Instead, I generously offered to let it remain, with one small modification. We'd add a beautiful mural to my side of the wall, professionally painted, featuring inspirational fitness quotes and artistic depictions of people exercising. It would be absolutely gorgeous, and it would be the view from Karen's backyard for the rest of her life. The construction began on a Monday morning at precisely 7 a.m., which was legally allowed. The sound of machinery and workers must have been Karen's wake-up call. I watched from my window as she stormed out of her house in her bathrobe, marching toward the construction site. The foreman was ready for her. "Ma'am, you'll need to stay outside the construction zone. This is private property." "What is this? What are you building here?" she demanded. "A fitness studio, ma'am. All permits are in order. This is a residential neighborhood. You can't build a business here. The lot is zoned mixed use. We can absolutely build here. Now please step back for your own safety." Karen immediately called the city, the county, and probably the governor for all I know. Every inspector who came out confirmed the same thing: everything was legal, permitted, and properly zoned. She tried to get the HOA to file an injunction, but since the property wasn't part of the HOA, they had no jurisdiction. She even hired a lawyer who took her money and then explained that she had absolutely no case. Construction took 6 weeks. During that time, Karen filed 17 different complaints with various city offices, all of which went nowhere. She attempted to organize a protest, but only 2 people showed up, and both left when they realized what they were actually protesting. She even tried to buy the property from me, offering twice what I'd paid, then 3 times, then becoming incoherent with rage when I politely declined. The grand opening was scheduled for a Saturday morning. The studio, Elevation Fitness, looked incredible. The outdoor pavilion featured beautiful natural wood beams, tasteful lighting, and floor-to-ceiling mirrors on one side. The side facing Karen's house featured the completed mural, a breathtaking piece of art showing figures in various yoga poses, surrounded by motivational phrases in elegant script. I'd invited the whole neighborhood to the opening, including Karen, though I didn't expect her to attend. We had free trial classes, refreshments, and local media coverage since Tom's gyms were well known in the area. The turnout was fantastic. Over 60 people showed up, including a reporter from the local news who was charmed by the story of a boutique fitness studio tucked into a suburban neighborhood. The 6 a.m. sunrise yoga class had a waiting list. Karen watched from her window. I could see her standing there, silhouetted against her craft room light, as 20 people moved through sun salutations on the pavilion directly in her line of sight. But I'd saved one final detail for this moment. After the opening festivities wound down, I invited the remaining neighbors to hear an exciting announcement. With Karen still visible in her window, I explained that Elevation Fitness would be operating 7 days a week, from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m., offering over 40 classes weekly. And because I was so grateful for the neighborhood's support, any Maple Grove Estates resident would receive a 50% discount on all memberships and unlimited free outdoor classes. I want to especially thank the person who inspired this whole project, I said, looking directly at Karen's window. When someone told me I should exercise inside like a normal person instead of in my own backyard, it made me realize that she was absolutely right. I should have a proper facility. So I built one. And now instead of just me working out where she could see me, she gets to enjoy watching hundreds of people pursue their fitness goals every single day. The crowd laughed, thinking I was joking. I wasn't. Mrs. Henderson signed up for a membership on the spot. So did 6 other neighbors. The reporter asked for a follow-up interview about the unique journey from HOA dispute to successful business venture. And Karen finally understood. I watched her face in that window as the pieces came together. Her vendetta against me working out in my backyard had directly resulted in a commercial fitness facility being built 15 feet from her house, operating 13.5 hours a day, 7 days a week, in perpetuity. Every morning, she'd wake up to workout classes visible from her craft room. Every evening, she'd go to sleep to the sounds of motivational music and instructors counting reps. The mural would ensure her backyard view would forever remind her of fitness and exercise. She'd used the HOA rules to try to control me, and I'd used property law, zoning regulations, and her own complaints as the blueprint for her complete defeat. The fines I'd paid were nothing compared to the permanent installation I'd created, all completely legal, properly permitted, and impossible for her to stop. Her expression in that window shifted from confusion to understanding to absolute horror as the full scope of what I'd done became clear. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something she could complain away or fine into submission. I'd taken her petty harassment campaign and transformed it into a thriving business that would generate revenue for years while ensuring she could never escape the very thing she'd tried to ban. If you loved watching this absolutely epic takedown, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for Karen Eat World. Trust me, I've got plenty more stories of entitled Karens getting exactly what they deserve. Thanks for listening, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is perfectly, beautifully legal.